So welcome back, and thank you for putting them on screen. The next topic will be Italy and Canada in space. Space, as you know, and as we've been hearing, can offer incredible opportunities for economic growth for both startups and small and medium enterprises. We heard $2 trillion earlier. By the way, just for context, that equates approximately to the Canadian GDP as a whole, and also new approaches to production and business models that are being developed. So the question that we try to answer is how companies and other organizations participate in this space economy, and what collaborative models exist to help us drive this forward. To address this and other topics, we have the pleasure to have Anilkumar Dave, Space Economy Advisor and board member of the Global Entrepreneurship Network Space, to lead the discussion with three of our distinguished experts from both Italy and Canada. So I would like to welcome you on stage, Anil.
Okay. Good morning. We are still in good morning mood, right? Not good afternoon. So where's Scott? Is Scott still here? Because he said he had the challenging role of being the last speaker before the coffee break. We have the challenging role of being the first panel after the coffee break. So we need to keep you here for the next couple of hours. We'll have two panels. And we want to make you, let's say, dream about space and convince you about two things in the next couple of hours before we will be the last panel before the lunch break. The two things are, one, space is awesome. The second thing, space is closer to us than we think. And I'm very honored to be here this year and to have contributed to the program of this year. And this first panel is just a conversation on the technology part, technology perspectives, collaboration, technologies. If you have seen from the program, there are some keywords there. And those keywords are basically on what technology can be. We will try to answer with the panelists on stage questions like, is still technology a platform for international collaboration? Is technology something where we can maybe rely on having impact, economic impact, socioeconomic impact, and so on. Let me just, before giving the floor to the panelists, because they are the guys on stage, I just have the role of moderating you and maybe cutting you off if you are going too long. But let me just picture a bit the scene, and then I will leave you, of course, the floor to pick. You have already seen David and Margot, but maybe I'll give you 5 seconds to introduce yourself later on to the audience. We are living in a very interesting times. Well, you know, space is cool. Space is sexy, space is fancy, but space is something real. Just today, we have the European Space Week. There is a European Ministerial Council going on in Seville, in Spain. But we also have the Geospace Week in Cape Town. At the same time, we have also the European Association of Clusters, of Aerospace Clusters, General Assembly going on in Ireland. We have the Geo-Ministerial Committee in South Africa. So this is not a lack of coordination, but is maybe an exceed of enthusiasm about space, I would say, because there are a lot of things going on. And if we look at the numbers, at the figures, we have seen that in the last 50, 60 years, there has been an increase in numbers of countries that are now using space or accessing space or using space-derived technologies. Just to give you a number, if you look at the chart from how many countries were in the Space Club in 1966, Italy was there. We were the third country to send a probe to space. Proud of that. But from there, after 60 years, there has been an increase of 1,500%. 1,500% of countries that are now claiming that they are in the Space Club. So it's global. We have the highest number of investment in space from last year to this year. We have an economy that is growing up. Yes, it's 400 plus billions worth economy. And as also Scott was saying, we are just, among 1 or 2 trillions in the next year or so by 2040. But let me just add something, and then to start the conversation, 400 plus billions of turnover in the space economy is the same turnover of the doors and windows market in North America. So how we can, evaluate, how we can give value to this number. So how space can make an impact and the space-derived technologies can make an impact. We have new players coming up. We have new incumbents. So we have millionaires, billionaires investing in space, and they're not coming from the space sector. So we have a lot of things coming up. So what I would to start with, and I will leave you the floor for just a very quick intro, and then give your ideas, and then of course we'll make the discussion flow. Maybe adding some little salt and pepper. So this is also another role and something I would love the audience to have some take-home messages. So is technology, because we are talking about Italy and Canada in space and technology's perspective, the first question I'm throwing to you is technology still a platform to raise global collaboration, or we need to think a bit higher, like missions, like not technology per se, but a broad perspective. So something that is matching this, what we heard in the previous panel about the new space economy. So the first round is just very blank paper, open, and then maybe we'll drill down to some keywords or something that you are pointing out. So please, I don't know who, okay, this is, okay. So do you want me to toss a coin? Okay, so let's make first talk who has made the longest journey. So, okay. Marco?
Very good, thanks, thanks Aniello for this introduction. Before going to your question, just to present myself, I'm the head of technology unit in ASI, and this is also part of the answer, but I will come back later. The technology unit in ASI is transversal to many other units with the aim to develop enabling technologies for a kind of application like Earth observation, exploration, access to space, telecommunication, and so on. Yeah, for sure. I think you mentioned missions and technologies. For sure, the cooperation on a mission is, in my opinion, easier. I mean, the mission is something that has a finite time frame. The role are quite defined. You can develop a platform. I can make a payload, and we can make a mission together with a fixed limited time. And once the mission is finished, you have your platform, I have my payload, and we can go other ways. Clear. But working on technology probably is more difficult because it implies to have a strong relation, a more strict relation between the different partners. And maybe it could be even difficult to find the good aspect of the good technology to cooperate on. But once that this is identified, this cooperation can be really stronger than a mission with the longest time frame. So can be enhanced. It can enhance the different technology developments of the two partners to make something stronger that is not possible to make if they are alone. So my idea is probably is more difficult to cooperate, but once that we find a way, go on.
So there is still the economists say a competition, so collaboration and competition in space, or we are all friends up there? If I develop a technology or a platform, and you are developing some other applications, do we share something? Or as you said, after the mission, I have the platform, you have the...
If you develop a mission, you can define an interface, and there is not really a sharing of your competencies with the others. And this is possible, this is quite easy. I mean, not quite. In space, nothing is easier, but it can be done. For technology cooperation, we need to think about cooperation, not competition. And this implies that the two parts of this cooperation shall have more or less the same level of competencies, because, of course, this cooperation should be the win-win for both. If there is two big differences in terms of maturity on one side or another, it cannot work in my opinion. But if we speak of cooperation, this should be a cooperation, maybe a cooperation to compete with somebody else. Why not? Sure. And we are part of the European Space Agency. Also, Canada is part of ESA. Clearly, the competition, and Italy is one of the probably most important participating states to ESA in terms of budget. The competition is outside, is for other markets, for the East with the other nations, China, India, that are but they are improving a lot, and maybe there is a way of cooperating within ESA and to compete in other markets, sure.
Okay, so David, yes, definitely, I think you have something to say, but Canada in 2023 was contributing to 0.5 something % of the ESA budget. Mm-hmm. But the most viewed logo on the ISS was the Canadarm, no, the big Canadian logo. So yes, you are contributing maybe not as Italy to ESA, but you are there with one specific, I would not say niche, maybe area, but very high technology and specific and crucial element there. So this collaboration that also Marco was saying is possible. So having the complementarity on technology. What is your perspective?
Thank you, Anil. So first I'll introduce myself, David Haight, Canadian Space Agency. Good to see everyone again. So Director of Economic International Regulatory Affairs. So I have some thoughts on that, Anil, and thank you, Marco. I think the one thing that resonated with me was win-win. And in terms of missions, it's the James Webb Space Telescope. So that is a collaboration on that mission between NASA, ESA, and CSA. So what CSA did for this $10 billion telescope, and we got a Christmas present 2 Christmases ago when it launched in French Guiana at the ESA launch facility, is Canada contributed 2 instruments. So the Fine Guidance System. So we're the eyes for James Webb Space Telescope. So in terms of searching for light in the universe and being able to focus on a specific point, we provided that contribution. The second one is an instrument called NIRIS. So it's a slitless spectrometer. What does that do? It measures the radioactivity around exoplanets in the universe as we search for signs of life. So I think that is a perfect example of a mission for a defined point in time where there were contributions from partners where we could work together. To Marco's point, I think when it comes to other cooperation, it has to be on the same level. It has to be win-win, and we have to keep the conversations going. I actually just met Marco yesterday, so we're going to keep the conversation going as we have our contact information. And I am not on the technical side, but from the technical experts, and in terms of the MOU that was discussed, that was mentioned earlier by Ambassador Ferrari, I know there have been ongoing discussions in the areas of CubeSat technology, in terms of we have a program, you have a program, so we are comparing notes when it comes to that. When it comes to space exploration, as we want to go further and farther, Italy is, yes, a more important partner when it comes to ESA, for sure. But Canada, since 1979, has been the only non-European cooperating member. And yeah, Anil, I think you define it well. I think we look at what are areas of niche technology strengths and how do we best support in those specific areas, whether it's in ARTES with satellite communication or whether it's space situational awareness. Actually, the Space Safety Program is a new program that Canada is proud to participate in. And for those programs, for those that aren't familiar with the European Space Agency and the programs, and that Canada is a member, there are what's called optional programs. So with this optional programs, ESA does a very good job of managing the missions and then looking for key companies and also universities that have the know-how in that area. So we are able to develop our technologies on the R&D front and mature them through the ESA optional programs. So getting back to it, I think cooperation is much like anything in life, Anil. It's all based on relationships. We need to keep talking. We need to understand where the Venn diagram kind of connects in terms of our know-how and our technology and how we can move forward together. But as I mentioned in the last panel, we have a 30 years of history of working very closely together on areas that we can collaborate in.
Okay, so it's a matter of a compromise, like in the marriages. Before Dr. Strangelove, jumps on the stage, because you said you met just yesterday, and now
we started yesterday, this panel. Without the moderator, but we started yesterday, actually.
Okay, but you mentioned international collaboration, you pinpointed that, the win-win. So we have here, although it's virtually, I don't know if he's already connected, we have Aniello, Violetti. Oh, okay, I see him on the screen. Aniello, who is the space attaché at the Italian embassy in Washington. Ciao Aniello, buongiorno. I don't know if you can you hear us? We can see you.
I can hear loud and clear. What about you?
Okay, copy because he's from the
yes.
He knows this language he's speaking. So Alpha Bravo Charlie, and then I'm just done with the alphabet. Aniello, we were just talking about, I guess you were already connected, but we were talking about international collaboration, win-win situation, the role of technology. So a lot of food for thought. And you being in this crucial position, of course, I would love you if you can, in 5 seconds, to introduce yourself and give your perspective on those keywords. Let me just state that the Italian government, with the Italian agency, we have 4 different space attachés around the world, and is a quite peculiar thing, because in quite interesting embassies, relevant embassies, we have a dedicated officer on space policies and space matters. So, Aniello, the virtual floor is yours, and of course you please stick to the time, but then we'll continue the conversation because we want you guys to maybe to interact.
Thank you, Anil, and thank you for everybody for this opportunity. Yeah, basically, as you said, I introduced myself very quickly. Violetti, Space Attaché, Embassy of Italy. I've been here since 2021, and basically my job is creating opportunities and collaboration. So it's just right in the topic between Italy and US. Well, I just go straight to the point. You said, you started to ask us technology or mission, and then you jump to collaboration versus competition. Well, I would say that, always space has been characterized by these 2 words, collaboration and competition. Maybe in the first part of in the story, the space race was much more competition. Now, for sure, it's much more collaboration if we go from a geopolitical point of view. But why? It's very easy. It's like, there is a kind of economic uncertainty, and there is the capability of each country that are like, in the new era, they're like, it's together requires a collaboration. There is no way that we can reach whatever goal, whatever target we would like to reach, either the moon or the Mars or whatever LEO orbit. We cannot go there by ourselves, a single nation. And I don't touch the problem about the 2 blocks, Russia, China, and whatever. But I'm just talking about the essential needs that we need to collaborate to reach some goals. In the same time, I would say that the technology, technology sharing is part of the main, I would say, the main topic, the main requirement to reach these goals. Why? I just go very quickly. If you think about the International Space Station, I think it's a great model to start with, like international collaboration. We think that yeah, we know more than 50% is done by Italy, but what happened with the with the ISS? Basically, we made our manufacturing industry grow really big well, and actually we made this as part of our essential space economy and infrastructure capabilities. In fact, what happened that now, if we think about the CLD and the low Earth orbit competition that we are having with ISS transition lab to NASA, with Voyager Space and Axiom. I know that there are some people from Axiom over there, and Blue Origin. So basically, each one of these assets, each one of these companies requires some Italy capability, like especially in the modules. In fact, this gives us the possibility to be really part of the new market, part of a new era. And especially if we started with Axiom a couple of years ago. We just are building for them 2 modules for their private space station. But now what we are doing, we are like working also with others maybe in the future. And also, if we think about the Artemis program, that's kind of a collaboration program, huge collaboration program over there, we are going to build the first modules on the moon. So basically, what I want, just to sum up, and I'll give you the floor back to you. Mission is important, collaboration is important, but still we need to share technologies. This is my thoughts. Thank you.
The question is, do you think that this new approach of cross-contamination between maybe Earth-based technologies like AI, because fundamentally AIs were developed for other applications rather than space, with the space technologies and so on, is this cross-contamination just a hype, or is something that can lead to some new products, new missions, new developments, new opportunities, or so on? Is this just a cool thing? We are contaminating space and non-space technologies, or there is some real value behind that? I would start with Marco because it's your maybe bread and butter.
Yeah,
right?
It's a cool thing.
Okay.
But it is done to enable new mission, new capabilities that are not possible now in space. So what is important is a sort of cooperation also in this case. It's not from Italy and Canada maybe, it's from a space company to a non-space company. And also in this case applies what we discussed before. Now we need to, in this case, we need to share. The companies that collaborate need to share the technologies, need to start a long-term cooperation, because of course the different technologies shall become only ones. We don't need a traditional space system plus AI. We need a space system that is developed through AI, that is operated and in thinking also and design to be operated through AI. And this of course takes time. But nevertheless, I think that the most, probably the fastest way is to enhance this kind of cooperation, to put together who develop AI for in other sectors, because they own the capability, mostly they own the technology. They should be put together, starting some cooperation with the space companies. And in this perspective, you mentioned before the number of nations that are with access to space capabilities, the number of companies that also are increasing a lot. So in this perspective, I think that this cross-contamination is also enhanced by also the dimension of the company itself. I mean, small companies are more probably open also in this perspective. They understand that they cannot do everything together, and then they find new solution for do something that is bigger.
Okay. Off the records. So we just stopped recording the events. But off the records, is there a secret sauce to do this? To integrate? Is there any, what are your thoughts? What would you do if you were the president, you will become the president of the space agency?
When you say?
Okay, now I cannot tell, I just give you I cannot tell you the solution.
No, I think
give you just
we need to know each other. We need to make companies know each other. This kind of event can help the discussion, the workshop on some concrete also ideas or projects or challenges, and this could be the way.
Okay.
I don't have a solution because
otherwise you have been already the president of the space
exactly.
agency.
I'm waiting for.
Okay, so kudos to the chamber team, because this means that events like this are really, helpful. David.
So a couple of thoughts on that. I think when I think about the integration of space and AI, I think about the Canadarm. So Canadarm1 was a glorified boom. It was on shuttle. It went on many shuttle programs, and it actually pieced together the ISS. So it was more hardware. Canadarm2 is on the International Space Station, and we have a little robot called Dexter, and it's going more towards the software side as it swaps out batteries. It makes, because spacewalks carry a lot of risk, right? So the more that we can let Canadarm2 and the robotic arm do that, the less risk we have to humans. Canadarm3, which is being designed for Lunar Gateway, so this was announced in 2019, will be at an outpost, which will be around the moon, which will be so I can't say unmanned anymore, so on the gender side. So it'll be unpersoned for the majority of the year. So what is being designed as we go from hardware more towards the software, and I won't go on the technical side, Marco, so maybe you can explain this better, but there will be a lot of semi-autonomous features, and AI will be included, within that in terms of capability. Another thought I had as well is why invest in space? So my colleagues at NASA have excellent examples. They have a publication called Spin-Off. Two that will be familiar to everyone in the room. There's two technologies that were designed for the space program. The microprocessor, which is in every phone on the table, and all your laptops, was designed for the space program, and now it's ubiquitous. The lithium-ion battery, which is also in all your phones and all your laptops, ubiquitous. So why invest in space? Because it's cutting-edge technology, and then it bleeds over everywhere else. Bleed is probably not the best term, but it spills over to other areas, to other sectors. The last point I wanted to make, and Aniello in Washington made a good comment on the Artemis Accords. So Italy and Canada were two of the first countries to sign up with the United States for the Artemis Accords. So the Artemis Accords are guidelines. What is going to guide the future of space exploration as we go to the moon and as we go to Mars? So I think that is a good roadmap in terms of we now have 31 countries that are signed up for the Artemis Accords. We're going to be working through the United Nations on the Committee on the Peaceful Use of Space. So the future of space exploration, we already have 31 partners there that have technologies that can work together and cooperate and develop the next technologies, the next microprocessors, the next lithium-ion batteries. I mean, also Velcro was designed for the space program. I had to mention that one too. But that is why space is exciting, because it enables the rest of the economy and it thinks to the future. But that's also why it's hard, right? Because if I think back to the James Webb Space Telescope that I mentioned earlier, the initial launch was actually 2007. It only launched 14 years later because there was delays, because we're talking about gold sheath, cutting edge technology. So I hope that partly answers what you're talking about in terms of cooperation.
Definitely,
over to you.
yes. My a bit provocative counter question, but now I want to leave the floor to Aniello, would be that, yes, but it's not that cheap. Because we are talking about things that, the ISS was now at nominal cost 100 billion plus investment. I don't know about the Canadarm, but of course you invested a lot in that. And so all these technologies, yes, are very interesting, but the investment behind the technology roadmap, you, Marco, contributed since ages, I would say, to the ESA technology roadmap from the Italian side. There's a roadmap of 10 years, 15, even more. and it's not that cheap. You need investment to do that. But this might be just a conversation for the lunch, and with also the audience. Nello, so what do you think? Because I know you are organizing it just for the benefit of the audience. You're organizing the Italian National Space Day celebration, and are you freezed or you are shocked by what I was? Okay.
Good.
Yes. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were like, oh yes, I need to do that. So you're organizing the National Space Day celebration at the Italian Embassy in Washington. Just one question, because last year was quite interesting because it started having also not per se non-space companies. Do you believe, being on that again position and in charge of these things, do you believe that this contamination of space and non-space technologies will have an opportunity maybe to drive the next socioeconomic or space economy impact, or is just a fashionable thing and who knows where it could lead?
My real answer, my honest answer is I don't know.
Okay.
Basically, actually, I agree with David. I agree with Marco that we need to share capabilities. We need this cross contamination, and in fact, as you know, just because you mentioned the National Space Day, just as an example, what we are doing, I just want to point out that we're going to start the space dialogues that we have been talking lately since President Meloni and Biden agreed on the joint statement in July. So basically what we are doing, what we are trying to do is like to put the Italian companies and US companies together at the embassy in that day, National Space Day, with support of the both governments, so US government and Italian government, especially from the commercial side. And try to understand which are the needs and which are like the next steps to start this collaboration, to start to work together for next mission, either Artemis or CLD, as I said before. Now you ask me if this contamination, the cross contamination, non-space activities in space will drive the economy in the future. I think we could have an opportunity. It depends on how much revenues the non-spatial companies will have in this. I think there will be the market, but we need to start to explore that. And the way,
Okay.
for example, we are approaching the National Space Day. We are starting with something very typical that Italy knows how to do very well. It's food. So we start with this space food idea. We start to cook for the next generation on the moon, and then we start with fashion. As you know, we are like building some spacesuit for the astronaut and for lunar mission, and then we are starting to talk also with the automotive companies that maybe the technology could be part of the system. Now, coming back to your first question, is it going to be worth it?
Yes.
Really, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we need to try.
Okay, thank you so much, Nello. We have to switch to the other panel. If you have a very burning statement, something that, it's a wow, you have 5 seconds.
Thank you. I want to give you 2 concrete examples of space and non-space.
No pressure.
We design rovers in Canada. We have a company called Ontario Driving Gear that had all-terrain vehicles. That capability was put on space for space rovers to keep the dust out because space is hard. That got absorbed by a company named Canadensis that is now building the rover that is going to be launched to the moon. And those capabilities for space were transferred over to the all-terrain vehicles. So that's a concrete example. MDA is another great example in terms of space robotics being transferred to health. So when you're doing neurosurgery and it takes 5-6 hours and you have to move that little light hundreds of times, that is now being done with the space robotics technology that were developed. So those are 2 concrete Canadian examples of how space technology has bled into other sectors.
Thank you so much. So please join me in a round of applause. Thanks, David, for being with us. Marco, Nello, you were connected. Thanks for your availability. And maybe, I don't know, thank you so much. I don't know.